Yeah, I've done a lot of snow driving here in Montana, but it really wasn't until this past winter when I slid on this approach coming off the highway and ran into a tree that I suffered any real consequences. Then after seeing a repair bill for $6,500, I decided a grill guard for $284 and snow tires seemed rather reasonable. However, I was a bit nervous about ordering it since it said it didn't come with any instructions. This is the box that arrived. The box had the brand name DNA Motoring on it. Had a little bit of trouble in shipping, some damage to the box, but it all seemed to come out okay. And the stamp on the box is compatible with 2006, 2012 Toyota Rav4. This is everything that came included after removing all the packaging. There's the grill guard, there's the guards for the headlights, there's some brackets, and a couple bags of hardware. It did come with a couple pages that were labeled instructions. This one was a parts list, and the other page was this exploded diagram. First thing I did was sort out all the hardware. All this hardware on the left came in one bag. It's all 10 millimeters. So we got bolts, we got nuts, we got washers and lock washers. On the right, all that hardware came in another bag. We got the 12, the 8, and the 6 millimeter. I created this diagram to supplement the included instructions to show what hardware goes where. The 12 millimeter hardware is used to secure the grill guard to the mounting bracket. The 10 millimeter is used to secure the headlight guards to the grill guard. The 8 millimeter hardware is used to fasten the support bracket to your car, and the 6 millimeter hardware is used to fasten the support bracket to the grill guard. Only 2 of the 6 millimeter washers and none of the 6 millimeter nuts were needed for this install. The next task is to fasten the mounting brackets. However, the number one engine cover is to be first removed to reveal the bolts used to fasten the mounting brackets. This cover is attached with 2 bolts, 4 screws, and 10 clips. To remove the bolts and screws, we'll use a 10 millimeter socket, and the clips are unlocked by first pulling on the centerpiece before pulling the entire clip out. These clips can be unlocked using a flat blade screwdriver, or there are special tools like the one shown for removing them. These clips are easy to break, so it's handy to have some like these to replace as needed. Removing the engine cover will expose a couple sets of bolts near the front of the car. You need to remove the set closer to the front of the car. If you try using the set further back, you'll find the grill guard won't fit. To remove these bolts, you're going to use a 17 millimeter socket. A breaker bar is helpful to loosen these bolts before finishing off with a ratchet. Alternatively, you could remove them using an impact wrench. Next, you use the same bolts we just removed to fasten the mounting bracket. After getting the bolts snug with a ratchet, we can then use a torque wrench. These bolts are retorqued to 97 Newton meters or 72 foot-pounds. That torque is based on a 10 millimeter class 11T hexagonal flange bolt as shown in this table from Toyota. Alright, so the next step is going to be mounting those support brackets. So we're going to do is pop open the hood, take your support bracket, and we're going to replace one of those clips with an 8 millimeter bolt. Now in order to secure a nut and a washer on the other side, we're going to drilled open on the right side through the grill and then taped a washer and a nut to the bottom of a wrench so that I could slide those through the grill and then secure it to the bolt on the other side. Now to get a washer nut on the other side, you might be thinking, why don't we just remove the grill? However, in order to remove the grill, you'd actually have to remove this entire front bumper. To fasten the nut to the bolt on the left side, while avoiding drilling another hole through the grill, I first removed the 9 clips securing the radiator support opening cover. These clips are removed by first pushing down the middle of the clip to unlock it before pulling them off. After removing all 9 clips, the cover can then be removed. After removing this cover, I was able to reach under the bolt with a wrench that had the washer and nut taped to it to secure it to the 8mm bolt. These 8mm bolts are labeled as a class 8.8 on the head. This resource from Bolt Depot recommends a tightening torque of 30 Nm for 8mm class 8.8 bolts. 30 Nm converts to 22.1 foot-pounds. Now that the 4 brackets are secured to the car, now we can secure the grill guard to the bottom mounting bracket using the 12mm hardware. The grill guard can now be rotated and fastened to those support brackets using the 6mm hardware. We can now go back and tighten up those 12mm bolts at the mounting bracket. I'm going to torque these to 100 Nm or 73.8 foot-pounds. I'm holding the bolt steady using an 18mm wrench, and I'm tightening up the nut with a 19mm socket. The 12mm bolts are labeled as a class 8.8 on the head, and according to this table from boltdepot.com, the recommended tightening torque for this bolt is 100 Nm. This converts to 73.8 foot-pounds. Before you can reinstall the number 1 engine undercover, you need to cut a couple 3.5-inch slots at the mounting brackets. I did this using tin snips on one side and a cutoff wheel on an angle grinder at the other side. Both approaches worked well. Then you can go ahead and secure it to the car with the 2 bolts, 4 screws, and 10 clips using a 10mm socket. To reset the pins on the radiator support cover, you're going to pull the bottom of it apart until the top pops up. Then you can place the clip back into the hole and then push the top down to lock it. Next, you can attach the headlight guard to the grill guard using the 10mm hardware. This hardware includes a lock washer, which is placed between the washer and nut. The 10mm bolts are labeled as A270 on the head, indicating a stainless steel fastener. This resource from Fastenal recommends using a graphite or molybdenum disulfide based anti-seize to avoid damaging the threads when tightening these bolts. For these 10mm bolts, it recommends to torque them at 31.3 Nm or 23.1 foot-pounds when lubricated, or when dry to torque at 36.5 Nm or 27.0 foot-pounds.
All right, and with that, looks like we're all done here. Hope this was helpful for somebody out there. I know it would have been helpful for me as I struggled my way through this, but thank you for watching the video, and I hope to see you on another one. All right, thanks. Bye.